Well, barely hours before the famous Nane Nane protests take off, we've seen leaders across the country urging the youth to consider backing down, but the youth also insist that they shall continue as planned. We are all waiting to see how that will transpire. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter is Mureithi Boniface. This is Newswatch right here at Hope TV. Now, President William Ruto has sent a stern warning to participants of the planned Nane Nane protests set for tomorrow against engaging in violence and urged Kenyans to embrace peace. The youthful crowd pushing for good governance and accountability has threatened to shut down the country on Thursday, August 8th, as they continue mounting pressure to President William Ruto to resign and dissolve the government. Speaking at Iriari, Embu County, the head of state also defended his inclusion of opposition figures in his government, noting that the broad-based government is aimed at uniting the country and spur development.
Sisi ni nchi ambayo tunaamini kwa amani. Hatutaki fujo katika taifa letu la Kenya. Hatutaki maandamano ambayo inaleta maafa, ambayo inaleta kuharibifu wa mali, ambayo watu wanapoteza mali yao. Tunataka amani. Watu wa Embu mnasema tunataka amani ama mnataka fujo iendelee? Mnataka amani? Hebu niole wala anasema tunataka amani katika taifa letu la Kenya.
Well, still on matters protest, Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli has warned that the planned anti-government demonstrations slated for Thursday could be infiltrated by goons. According to Masengeli, the Gen Z-led protests dubbed Nane Nane March may be a threat to the country's security if infiltrated by the goons, noting that the government has mobilized enough security personnel to deal with any eventualities. While urging members of the public to exercise vigilance during the protests, Masengeli cautioned the protesters against trespassing on protected areas like the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, and State House. The police boss further noted that Kenyans are at liberty to hold peaceful demos.
Article 24(1)(d) of the Constitution calls for the need to ensure that enjoyment of rights and fundamental freedom by any individual does not prejudice the right and fundamental freedom of others. The initial demonstrations that were held by youths, Gen Z, in June were peaceful, but subsequent protests morphed into riots with looters destroying and stealing property. Many police officers and civilians have equally been left either injured or dead. Already, our intelligence report indicated that there are security threats to the country, with criminal planning to infiltrate tomorrow's demonstration and commit further crimes. In anticipation, we have ensured adequate deployment of security personnel. However, members of public are advised to take extra caution while in crowded areas that are likely to turn riotous. We also wish to caution members of the public against contravening the Kenya Civil Aviation Act and the Protected Areas Act by avoiding trespass of protected areas such as Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and State House lodges.
Now, ahead of the planned nationwide demonstrations dubbed Nane Nane March that has caused an uproar amongst Kenyans, the government has urged the youth planning to participate in the demos to ignore calls of violence and unchecked protests. In a press briefing, government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura has directed Kenyans to proceed with normalcy, that is tomorrow, Thursday, while urging them to embrace changes that President William Ruto is making to unite the country. Gloria Musimbi with more details.
As tension rises across the country ahead of the planned nationwide protest dubbed Nane Nane March, government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura has urged Kenyans not to participate in unchecked protests and ignore calls to violence.
Ndio waandamanaji wana haki yao, lakini sisi kama serikali tunatoa mwito kwamba watu wasiingilia hayo maandamano. Hata kama ni haki, lakini lazima kuwe na sababu tosha. Na hiyo sababu tosha ni kwamba yale mambo ambayo yalikuwa yamewekwa katika makataa tofauti, hali tofauti katika mitandao ya kijamii, mengi tu yameweza kuafikiwa na rais. Tunasema 8 tuko job, 8 tuko hustle, na 8 tuko katika majukumu yetu ya kila siku, hakuna mambo ya maandamano.
This even as he urged the members of the public to embrace the changes that President William Ruto is making to unite the country through the broad-based government.
Ameweza kuvunja baraza la mawaziri, amepunguza makadirio ya bajeti ya ofisi fulani, ameweza kuonyesha ari kabisa kwamba mashirika ya kiserikali 47 yanaweza kubadilishwa. Amefanya mambo mengi sana ambayo yalikuwa ni masuala sugu. Kwa mfano wale manaibu wa waziri CS amekataa kuidhinisha waweze kupatiwa kazi. Kwa hiyo ni mambo mengi, tukubali kwamba mambo mengi na pia ameleta sasa sura ya kitaifa katika serikali. The number of members of the cabinet are no longer in that cabinet, so it's not one and the same. You can also not say that there is no change yet, because we had the Kenya Kwanza administration, but now we have the broad-based government.
Mwaura defended the government's recent reforms in the financing of higher education as a response to the funding crisis that have plagued the sector since 2010.
Sasa hivi serikali imetoa mfumo mpya ambao utasaidia vyuo vyetu vikuu visiweze kufungwa kwa sababu zilikuwa na madeni zaidi ya bilioni 77. Inamaanisha nini? Kwamba kila mwanafunzi ataweza kupatiwa nafasi kulingana na uwezo wa familia ya kwake, kuwekwa katika zile band 5. Ataorodheshwa kiwango cha kwanza, watapatiwa ufadhili wa serikali kwa 95%, na hawatalipa pesa nyingi isipokuwa shilingi 5,995.
On matters concerning the Livestock Bill 2024 that has caused a stir among farmers recently, the government has called upon stakeholders to cease misinformation and instead help the public understand the government's actions for national development.
Kwa hiyo tunataka kuhakikisha kwamba kama serikali kwamba wakulima wetu hawapatiwi chakula cha mifugo ambacho kinaathiri uzalishaji wao. Pia ikifika mambo ya nyuki na asali, watu wengine wanatumia sukari, ndizi kutengeneza asali gushi, gushi. Kwa hiyo serikali inapendekeza katika hii sheria kwamba kila mtu, kama uko na watu wako pale, lazima uhakikishe kwamba umeuweka jina ili tuondoe wale ambao ni watapeli. Lakini sio eti kusema kwamba sasa eti itakuwa ni kwa sababu kuna watu wengi sana ambao wanaiba, wanafanya, na hili ni jambo ambalo linafanyika ulimwengu mzima. Kwa hivyo
Reporting for TV Newswatch, I'm Gloria Musimbi.
Well, many thanks, Gloria Musimbi, for the report. Now, ahead of the planned nationwide anti-government protests slated for 8th of August, a section of Kenyans have expressed mixed reactions. This is even after the government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura, among other political leaders, urged Kenyans to call off the protests and warned of stern action against any troublemakers, as Ian Githuku reports.
The series of anti-government protests that began on the 25th of June 2024 are scheduled to continue tomorrow, the 8th of August. The protests, dubbed 9-9 March, have gained popularity as Kenyans continue demanding for better governance. Following the popularity gained by the 9-9 protest, government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura has urged all Kenyans to call off the 9-9 protest while threatening to deal with all troublemakers according to the law come tomorrow. The call was echoed by Nairobi ODM leaders who urged the planners of the 9-9 protest set for tomorrow to call it off. The leaders, led by George Aladwa, have urged the youth to give President William Ruto time to address their concerns.
Situipatie serikali muda, kwa sababu mabadiliko yamekuwa ni mengi sana. Lakini hata ukiweka chakula kwa jiko lazima kiive. Uweze kaamua sasa kwa sababu ni hii, alafu unabadilisha hiyo. Tungoje, kwa sababu hata baraza la mawaziri bado halijaweza kuapishwa. Kwa hiyo hilo ni jambo ambalo tunafaa kuliangalia zaidi.
The reinstating of some former cabinet secretaries has caused uproar from some Kenyans, many terming it as one of the issues fueling tomorrow's protests. Others are simply dissatisfied with the country's state of governance and are calling for the resignation of the president.
Kwa sababu ni the people's right kuandamana, wanaweza kuprotest. Yeah, even the cabinet reshuffle ile yenye Ruto alifanya, hiyo ilikuwa the violation of the constitution. Ile yenye walifanya kulingana na kina Duale na Kindiki. Yeah. So I consider maandamano, I recognize it to be.
However, a section of Kenyans, especially those who are business people, have raised their concerns on the safety of their businesses, bearing in mind that the past protests have led to the destruction of their property and theft.
So I urge Kenyans to come out so that we can fight this demon and lower the cost of living. Actually, we urge the government to give us more channels for the businesses.
Peaceful in the process.
Venye wanaongea, we know, we are parents by the way, we sahi hata ndio niko tumeongea na mama mwingine hapa. Tuna way, you are supporting the Gen Zs, to be very frank, usidanganywe. But on the other hand, your livelihood is here. So you are utakuwa wapi? Because what they are raising, si eti ni kitu ambao si haistahili. It's valid. That's what I'll just say. It's very, very valid. Integrity, corruption, nini, yote, itoke kabisa. Well, they lead as well. They promise so much. They promised a lot. So can they do what they promised? At least for now, we see what will happen. Nowadays, any day.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Ian Gethuku.
Then we come back again.
Well, now on matters vetting CS nominees, the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments has rejected the nomination of Stella Soy Langat as Gender Cabinet Secretary. In a report presented to Parliament by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, all other nominees were approved except Soy, as our reporter Dolly Mwirigi Bovi tells.
How are you going to work with the industries locally here?
The National Assembly's Committee on Appointment has approved the appointment of 19 cabinet nominees.
And 2, Honorable Speaker, rejects the appointment of Ms. Stella Soy Langat. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Soy was among the first batch of 20 Cabinet Secretary nominees vetted Thursday last week.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The committee report has been presented by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah after the vetting of the 20 nominated Cabinet Secretaries. Those approved include Aden Duale Environment, Kithure Kindiki Interior, Alice Wahome Lands, Alfred Mutua Labour, Salim Vuria Trade, Justin Muturi Public Service, Soipan Tuya Defence, Kipchumba Murkomen Sports, Davis Chilchi Roads and Transport, Rebecca Miano Wildlife and Tourism, Deborah Baraza Health, and Julius Migusio Gamba Education. Others are Andrew Muya Karanja Agriculture and Livestock Development, Eric Murithi Muga Water Sanitation and Irrigation, Margaret Nyambura Ndungu Information, Communication and Digital Economy, John Mbadi National Treasury, Opio Ndai Energy, Asanjo Mining, and Wycliffe Oparanya Cooperatives. The vetting process was held on August 1st to August 4th. The vetting process came against a strong urge from Kenyans to ensure that only accountable leaders join the cabinet. The dissolution of the previous cabinet by President William Ruto followed a series of protests in the country from Kenyans who wanted major reforms, including the replacement of the cabinet secretaries.
Nobody will penalize you. Go on.
Thank you.
Dolly Muriki for Hope TV.
Well, many thanks, Dolly Murigi Mbovi, for the report. Now, just a quick one is that cabinet swearing-in ceremony will take place tomorrow at State House, Nairobi. That is according to a report from State House that all the 19 approved cabinet secretaries will be sworn in. That is tomorrow, Thursday, 8th of August 2024. Now, on matters education, the government through the Ministry of Education has extended scholarship, that is application deadline for students joining institutions of higher learning by 10 days. That is from the August 5th to 15th of August 2024. According to Higher Education and Research Principal Secretary Dr. Beatrice Muganda Inyangala, the ministry has projected that over 122,000 students out of the 153,000 placed to different tertiary institutions across Kenya are projected to receive government scholarship. Mason Lowell with more details.
With barely a month before students are enrolled in institutions of higher learning, Principal Secretary of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Inyangala, has addressed the delays in obtaining of ID cards, which many say has barred students from applying for the government scholarship.
And so the purpose of today's engagement is to address you on the application for government funding for the 2023 KCSE cohort students who are yet to be issued with identity cards. We have already seen that the effort we began with unbundling this misinformation and disinformation is bearing fruit, because in just one day, the number of applications has increased by 6%. So from 79,038 applicants, we now have 83,922 applicants.
Dr. Inyangala says that the lack of IDs is no longer a barrier, as students can now apply for the loans and scholarship without such documents.
We want to inform prospective students that they can still apply for scholarships and loans without having an identity card. This measure ensures that no student is disadvantaged or delayed in their pursuit for higher education due to administrative processes. Please note that students yet to be issued with identity cards fall under these two categories. The students who are under 18 years old can apply for loans and scholarships using their KCSE index numbers and attach a copy of their birth certificate in place of their national identity card. All stakeholders, including university administrators, faculty, students, and the private sector, to support this transformative initiative. Together, we can build a robust higher education system that meets our nation's aspirations and prepares our youth for a prosperous future.
The move to enhance the scholarship application process is not only aimed at ensuring every student has the opportunity to pursue higher education, but also help the government in enhancing its ability to fund more students through tertiary education. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, Mason Lowell.
Well, the story by Mason Lowell will be taking us to a short commercial break. Don't go too far, for we shall be back with many more.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Cindy?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Now on matters fighting corruption. The Corruption Perception Index released in January this year showed that Kenya only scored 31%. In this connection, Transparency International Kenya has today launched the Integrity Walk 2024. The walk is aimed at raising funds that will be used by the organization to mainstream access to information and participation in the public sector as a way of fighting corruption in the government. Now, according to Transparency International Kenya Executive Director Sheila Masinde, this year's walk has gained inspiration from the Gen Z movement and their push for accountability from the government.
And it's just to ask people to come walk with us for the sake of integrity and to perhaps send a signal or even that picture out the world that we want to see transparency, accountability, and integrity in our country, the things that we yearn for, the things that will help us to run away and see our society free of corruption.
And we want to just create awareness to citizens. We want to create awareness to the common mwananchi, to all the stakeholders engaged in the fight against corruption, on the adverse effects of corruption, and what we as citizens and stakeholders need to do in order to address corruption. We are deeply concerned about the effects of corruption and particularly the cost of corruption. We are seeing that whatever is happening in the country can be addressed, and we want to create the critical mass. We want to mobilize citizens, we want to mobilize stakeholders just to walk with us along this journey so that we can realize a corruption-free society.
We are aligning it to the Access to Information Day. That's the International Day for Universal Access to Information, which will be commemorated on the 28th of September. So it will be held on the 28th of September as we commemorate the Access to Information Day.
Well, now on matters peace calls, the troubled Kerio Valley region is slowly opening up after a total of 23 churches, schools and water projects have been set up courtesy of the Rock Church missionaries to open up the area, promote peace and transformation. Among the areas that have benefited from the churches are Shalpo in West Pokot County, Kainuk in Turkana County, and Achorchor in Uganda, where there were no churches initially. The move has turned dozens of cattle rustlers to peace envoys and pastors through gospel and reconciled many warriors in the region by preaching the gospel.
I try to identify places that don't have a church or that need support. And so that's one of the reasons why the Lord just put on my heart this vision of, let me go where other people don't go. And, for me, it's been about just the Lord using us to bring the gospel to these places. So we have identified places. And so each year, what I've done the last couple of years is 1 year I'll focus on Turkana. Like last year I was in Kainuk. And then the year before that, I might go to Chor.
When I see what is in Shalpo, courtesy of the God you serve, and that God is amazing. He sent white men all the way from America to come and sit here. There's no water here the way you had, and God graciously drove you up to here. You would have gone to anywhere else. But because you are here and under the anointing of God, we have come to celebrate God and to celebrate you.
Well, now on matters climate change, the youth in the country are taking a leading role in addressing climate change through the Youth in Food Systems and Climate Action Convening Program. However, they are affected most by environmental challenges like droughts and resource depletion that later affect nutrition and physical development. Yet 29.5% of the population aged 18 to 35 hold the potential for change in order to achieve food security and economic growth, as Mumbi Waweru reports.
Pause for change. However, the job market presents significant barriers with a notable mismatch between education and available employment opportunities driving
push for policy changes. I think the youth have shown us how they can push for changes.
So I would urge that the same energy be diverted towards this particular issue.
Farmers and innovators in the agricultural and tech industries have convened to address the Kenya's youth who are increasingly vulnerable to the escalating environmental challenges such as prolonged droughts and depleted natural resources, which bring about nutritional problems and hinder physical and brain development. With 29.5% of the population aged 18 to 35, this demographic is a potential force for change. However, the job market presents significant barriers, with a notable mismatch between education and available employment opportunities driving economic struggles. Speaking at the forum, Dr. Kindie Fantaye, head of climate adaptation at AGRA, emphasized that young people can drive transformation by embracing climate change solutions such as advanced irrigation systems and renewable energy like wind power.
There are plenty of opportunities, although the challenge is there. So let's not, always focus on the negative aspect. Let's look at the positive side of things that we can change and we can do. So
Elizabeth Ngeni, advisor for gender and affirmative action at the President's Economic Transformation Office, highlighted the importance of providing youth with the necessary tools and knowledge, especially in agriculture and science, to tackle these issues creatively and effectively.
Climate change is a catalyst for innovation. So let's not just look at the curse aspect of it, let's also look at the blessings that are coming from it.
Climate change's direct impacts, such as droughts and floods, along with the indirect effects on the economy, are further complicating access to jobs and decent incomes. Despite these challenges, climate change presents unique opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurship.
Climate strategies, implementing policies, and fostering partnerships to enhance Kenya's climate resilience. Key actions by the same ministry include the development of
Equipping young people with right skills and knowledge is essential for addressing long-term effects of climate change and ensuring they can lead the charge towards a greener, sustainable future.
It's meant for young people. Kenya has shown commendable dedication to addressing climate change through significant policy and institutional advancements. The formation of the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry reflects Kenya's commitment to prioritizing environmental issues and climate action.
Mumbi Waweru, Hope TV Newswatch.
Well, thank you, Mumbi Waweru, for that report. Now, on matters business, the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK, has announced the dispatch of a new and updated series of banknotes. The new notes will also come with at least 4 changes in them. The changes made include a new signature for governor, that is the current CBK boss, Kamau Thuge, as well as that of the board member, who is the Treasury Principal Secretary, Dr. Chris Kipto. The other changes will be the year of print, that is 2024, and a new security thread with color changes to each denomination. In the announcement, CBK said the notes will be in circulation alongside the current ones. Remember that the new generation banknotes were first launched during the 2019 Madaraka Day celebrations by retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, with Kenyatta and former CBK Governor Patrick Njoroge having in December 2018 also launched the new generation coins that are currently in use. Well, now on matters sports, Kenya will be hosting this year's African Chalkball Championships, set to take place from August 8th to 12th, 2024 at Kasarani Gymnasium right here in Nairobi. The championship is scheduled to kick off with an intensive capacity building program from match officials and coaches, ensuring that all participants are well prepared and equipped with the necessary knowledge of the game. Now, a total of 22 teams are also expected to compete, showcasing the growing popularity and competitive spirit of chalkball across the continent. Now, in preparation for the tournament, today's team Kenya's training session, including rigorous drills and strategic planning, with the coach expressing confidence in the team's readiness and enthusiasm, highlighting the hard work and dedication displayed by the players in the lead-up to tournament.
I think Chupo in the coming years will go very fast, especially after COVID, and more and more countries will join FITP. And if we have 60 members, we can apply the IOC recognize. So it's our second steps And we try to help more new country, try to promote Chupo, especially in Africa. We have, in the coming years, I think there should be 10 more new country in Africa.
Tunaandaa kombe la Afrika ambao ni Africa Chukball Championship mwaka wa 24 na kama wenyeji Kenya ambao ni hosts, tunafanya mipango to make sure that we win this championship. We have 4 teams, 2 women team and 2 men team, and taking care of these people in the camp is really expensive, and we really are calling upon the Minister of Sports and the government to come through for us, because these people are really frustrated. These players you see here, wanajilipia fare na matatu kuja hapa kufanya hizi vitu, and it is really tough. So they have done a lot and they want to make Kenya proud. So we are calling upon our government to actually come in and support us in whatever way that they can.
Well, that's all we had for you tonight, but let's meet tomorrow and make sure you are up to date with matters swearing in of the 19 cabinet secretaries, nominees, and also the matters to do with the Nane protests that have been planned for a very long time with the youth, who now says that will be the last protest against President William Ruto's regime. We are all waiting to see the occurrences. That is tomorrow. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Orethi. Do have a wonderful night.